Truma, makers of the Combi heater and iNet system, are proud to sponsor Practical Caravan TV.
Welcome to Practical Caravan TV, your one-stop shop for all things caravanning. This week, I'm going to be taking a look at two caravans that share the same ultra-fashionable layout, but come from opposite ends of the caravanning marketplace. Plus, this is what else we've got coming up in today's show. We'll check out the adults-only Summerswood Caravan Park in the lovely Forest of Arden. David Motton will be testing the latest version of a caravanner's favourite, the Hyundai Santa Fe. And I'll take a look at a much revised Coachman that should suit couples in search of a luxurious night's sleep. But before all that, the first of our two dedicated followers of fashion, featuring a centre washroom and an inline island bed in its luxurious rear bedroom. It's the Sprite Major 4 EB. A little less than 2 years ago, Sprite shook up the budget sector by introducing the Major 4 SB. It introduced a transverse island bed and an end washroom, a true luxury layout, into the affordable sector. Well, now Sprite's at it again with this. It's the Major 4 EB, and it launches the absolute layout of the moment, the central washroom and a rear island bed, into the budget sector. Not that this feels very much like a budget van. Like most Sprites, this one's fitted with a diamond pack and a panoramic front sunroof. And the diamond pack brings with it things like these rather natty alloy wheels with secure wheel lock receivers and the Alco AKS hitch. One thing it doesn't bring, unfortunately, is any kind of external access to the bed boxes. But what that does do is give us a very good look at one of the new features for Sprite in 2017, and that's these sidewalls, which are now GRP instead of aluminium. But the crucial question, of course, is how well does this layout work in a budget range? It's easy to see why so many people opt for that panoramic sunroof. It really does make an enormous difference to this lounge area. It's fantastically sunny, admittedly, on a very sunny day. But actually, this area feels a lot brighter than in some of its more upmarket siblings. That's because there's also two roof lights in the lounge kitchen area, so it is plenty bright enough. At night, it should be pretty good too. We've got a fair amount of perimeter lighting and 4 spotlights in the lounge, which you don't always get on an entry-level model. I particularly like this trim, which is a carryover from last year. A very nice finish, particularly complemented by these rather fine 70s style curtains. Also, it can adapt to your mood. Over here we're on bright green because it's a nice sunny day, but if I was feeling a bit more down, we just flip them over and you get black, or perhaps black and green, why not? There's plenty of storage in here too. We've got huge overhead lockers on both sides, although they don't have shelves, and the forward end of them you have to reach through the locker to access. There's no lift up lid, which seems a little bit of a shame. We've got 2 drawers and a drop down locker here, and of course this is where you find the slats for the double bed at the front, because these, although are a good length, they're probably only usable as single beds by children. It's good to see drop down flaps underneath the sofas to access the bed boxes, so there should be plenty of storage space for bedding and indeed visitors' clothes. At the front here, we've got a couple of 230 volt sockets, although no 12 volt or USB. And there's no TV point here either, because that's over on the sideboard by the entrance door. Above and below it, there are a couple of useful cupboards, and it's quite nice to see them angled towards the door, so they're easy to access when you first get on your pitch, so you can grab things like your motor mover remote control. Above the doorway, you'll find the command system. Now that was introduced for flagship models last year, but is now available across the Swift range. And it means that you can control and monitor various functions on your van remotely using a smartphone or tablet. Alongside it, there's a little keypad, and that's there for the optional tracker system, which is a good thing to see in an entry-level van. The Major 4 EB is only a single axle van, so cramming in a central washroom, an island bed and a decent sized lounge does mean that everything has to be squeezed in fairly carefully, and this kitchen, if anything, is probably the most cramped feeling area. But that said, it's not too bad in terms of space in the kitchen itself. There's a good amount of worktop and a pop-up worktop flat, which is good to see in a budget van. Overhead we've got the microwave that comes as part of the diamond pack and a couple of cupboards. There's a cutlery drawer down here as well and a small cupboard, but not a vast amount of storage space, but of course you've got the sideboard on the other side to use. We've got a 3-burner gas hob, not dual fuel in this case, and a separate oven and grill and a decent sized refrigerator. Sadly only one socket, but then of course you've got 2 in the lounge and 1 above the sideboard. One thing I'm very pleased to see is a vent overhead. So although it's not an omni vent, it's positioned in such a way that it should help to evacuate all of those cooking smells. As I mentioned before, space really is at a premium on a single axle with this layout, but this central washroom does feel pretty spacious. There's a good amount of changing room in the middle. There's lots of room around the loo too, and the wheel arch provides the perfect place to put your spare loo rolls. That sense of space is enhanced by the big smoked window and a small overhead roof light, so it's good and bright. There's a circular shower here on the near side, which doesn't have any shelves to put your shower gel, but the wheel arch in the bottom, although it intrudes slightly into the shower tray, is the perfect place to put them. Dead ahead we've got a little vanity unit with the second of 2 bathroom cabinets and a good sized sink, and above it an enormous mirror. It's the ideal place to check yourself when you get ready. Take a step back and you get a full length view. Through the his and hers doorways into this master suite at the back of the van, you'll find his and hers reading lights, his and hers shelves, drawers, cupboards, his and hers wardrobes, even his and hers windows. It isn't the cheeriest space in the world. The only colour really is this grey padded headboard. There aren't any fabric panels on the walls or anything. But that said, don't forget this is a budget van and there really is everything you could need, plus crucially a real sense of privacy. By having the washroom dividing the back of the van from the front where you might have guests, this really does feel like your own private space. Often these beds retract in the day, and I've never really understood why in this layout, and indeed in the Sprite it doesn't bother. It's also a good size of bed. I've been able to stretch out on here, so it's over 6 feet long, which is better than most in this style. It's a nice bright space too, and of course there's vast amounts of storage. Those cupboards don't have any Aldi wet central heating header tank in them because this van has Truma blown air heating. That one's got the table in it, which is a bit of a hike forward to the front of the van, but it's a relatively light table. There's also, of course, a vast amount of storage underneath me. You will find the spare wheel in here though, which could be a little bit of a pain if you get a puncture, because you'll have to lug the wheel through the van and in fact lug back that grubby punctured wheel to store it here. Ahead of you there's a mount for a TV along with all the relevant sockets, although same as the front point there isn't actually a satellite connection here, only a TV aerial point. Sprite is not only the Swift Group's best-selling brand, but also the UK's best-selling single range of tourers, and it's hard to see the Major 4 EB doing anything but enhancing that. It's not a layout that's for everybody, but if you value privacy when you have guests to stay on your caravan, it's just about perfect. In fact, the biggest problem I can see is that it's most likely to steal sales from its more expensive siblings.
The big Korean car companies like Hyundai have long since left behind their budget origins and are building cars which can compete against their rivals without a big price advantage. In the case of the Hyundai Santa Fe, that's just as well, as this car costs almost £40,000. That pitches it against rival SUVs with upmarket badges. Instead of a prestige name, the Hyundai offers a huge list of standard equipment, a high curb weight for favourable matching ratios, and a practical 7-seat cabin. Let's find out how well the Santa Fe tows. It certainly has the heft to make a suitable match for large and heavy tourers. With a curb weight of 2 tons or thereabouts and a legal towing limit of 2,000 kilograms, it can pull most caravans and stay the right side of the law. We matched it to a Swift Expression 626 with a mass in running order of 1,413 kilograms. The 2.2 litre diesel has 200 horsepower, but more importantly, it also has 325 pounds-feet of torque. That's plenty of pulling power even for a big twin-axle caravan. In fact, we've just towed the Swift Expression behind us from 30 to 60 miles per hour in a brisk 11.2 seconds. The Hyundai made a decent fist of our lane change test too, leaning heavily but never getting out of shape. There was some pushing and shoving from the Caravan at high speeds, but we never felt that the Tourer was about to take charge. We've no complaints about the Hyundai stability at speed. Sometimes there's a little bit of side-to-side movement in a strong crosswind, but essentially the Santa Fe is a secure and stable tow car. Inside, the Hyundai is a roomy and practical car. It's available in both 5 and 7-seat versions. We've been testing the 7-seater. There's plenty of space in the front and in the middle row. There's much less room for those in seats 6 and 7, but they're still useful. With all 7 seats upright, luggage space is tight, but with the third row stowed, there's lots of luggage room. Self-levelling suspension and a full-size spare wheel add to the Santa Fe's practicality as a tow car. Even allowing for its qualities, the top-of-the-range premium SE car is rather pricey. If you can live without every last bell and whistle, premium spec cars come with all the essentials but cost more than £4,000 less. In either specification though, the Santa Fe is a quality tow car. Its burly engine can handle a heavy Caravan and it's stable at speed. If you're looking for a big, capable 7-seat SUV, the Hyundai Santa Fe deserves a place on your shortlist.
Sadly, that brings us to the end of part 1, but we've got plenty more to come, so don't go away. After the break, I'll be taking a look at a super luxurious version of the Sprite's layout, this time from Luna, and we'll be dropping in on Summerswood Caravan Park in Warwickshire. See you in just a few minutes. Planning a caravan range is something of a juggling act. Every time you make a change to the specification of your entry-level model, it has a knock-on effect right up through the range. And that can be particularly difficult if you have a portfolio as congested as Luna's. Take this year. The Lexon has had some tweaks that bring it up market, dangerously close to Clubman territory. And this is the result. It's the 2017 Luna Clubman, and it's been given a full makeover to give it the look and feel to go along with its upmarket specification. There's also a new layout. This, the Luna Clubman SR. It features the hugely fashionable central washroom. As you might expect, the specification is seriously generous. There's a full complement of Alco goodies. You've got an AKS hit stabiliser, ATC trailer control, a secure wheel lock receiver behind those rather natty diamond cut alloy wheels. There's also a gas barbecue point, an external 230 volt socket and a satellite point. Plus, of course, all the surfaces are relegated over to the offside, apart from those fridge vents, which are on the near side in your awning. But there's one thing I do need to show you on the outside before we have a look inside. And it's this. Now, most caravans that have an island bed fixed to the back wall don't have any external locker access, but this Clubman SR has a hatch on either side that goes right the way across, and it's even got lighting in here. It's a bit like a motorhome garage, and it's a seriously useful place to store your outdoor chairs, tables and the like. But of course the big change is up at the front. There's this gloss black gas locker with a gloss black step and a gas locker light, and up top here a real revolution for Luna, a front panoramic sunroof, which is very neatly blended in with those graphics. It makes an enormous difference to the frontal styling of the van and makes it look significantly more modern. So let's see what difference it makes to the interior. Luna has always said it wouldn't put panoramic sunroofs in its vans because of the compromises in lounge storage space. Well, putting its money where its mouth is, it's got its designers to come up with an answer. And the result is a compact sunroof with rather neat little corner cabinets on either side. They're bigger than you might think and a really neat use of space. The installation itself is really neat as well. We've got this rather nice wraparound light bar and then a moulded panel that blends the panoramic roof in with the enormous sky view roof light. Now, bright and airy is an overused phrase in caravanning, but here it truly is appropriate. We've got pale fabrics, all of that glazing and pale surfaces. It is a lovely ambience in here. There are some other neat details too. I really like these firm but comfortable wraparound cushions. They make it a very nice place to lounge. And instead of using pull-out slats from underneath the central chest, Luna has introduced pull-out bed bases on either side underneath the sofas. They're surprisingly light to lift up on gas struts, and particularly neatly, they've also retained the drop-down flaps to give access to the bed boxes, even if there's someone sitting on the sofa. Central washroom layouts tend to be a little bit pinched in the living space, but not so in this SR. I mean, just check out this kitchen area. It feels really spacious. There's masses of worktop with a large pop-up flap should you need a bit more, and a big stainless steel sink. Above it, 3 overhead lockers with this rather lovely LED backlighting around it. It looks really very natty. And there's some LED task lighting here too. There's the expected dual fuel hob and separate oven and grill with a pan drawer beneath. And over here on the near side, a large tower refrigerator, which should have plenty of room for all your groceries. Above it there's a microwave. It is sited really quite high up, but there's nowhere else really to put it. And then back in the kitchen here we've got just one socket again, which is a bit of a problem because I've yet to find anywhere sensible to plug in my toaster as well as my kettle. But there is 2 new USB points, which is new for the 2017 Clubman. Underneath, 2 huge cupboards, one of which houses the table, which is great news because it's not far away from the lounge. The only thing that really feels like it's missing here is some form of coat hook. There's nowhere to put your coats apart from in the bathroom. Inevitably, because it's a single axle van, the centre washroom is a little bit pinched on space, but there's no skimping on kit. The circular shower cubicle is beautifully finished with a mosaic effect, lots of shelves, and an eco camel shower head, plus its own lighting. There's a central vanity unit with gloss locker beneath, and a new bowl sink with pop-up plug, plus a rather nice backlit mirror. And alongside the toilet you'll find a heated towel rail from the Aldi wet central heating, plus a smoked window above and yet another cabinet. And so to the master suite, and it's clear that a lot of effort has been made here to keep things light and bright. There's a huge roof light overhead and a large window on either side, and it's been neatly integrated with the rest of the van with these padded panels that pick up the colour accents from the lounge. The bed itself is around 6 feet in length, which isn't enormous, but is about the same as most rivals that carry this layout. Ahead you've got a TV point with all the relevant sockets, and it really is an ideal place to have it. You can imagine reclining in bed to watch a movie of an evening. A really nice cosy feel. There's masses of storage options in here too. We have a wardrobe on either side. This one contains the header tank for that Aldi wet central heating. Large overhead lockers, and I really like these bedside tables, which are formed by having that locker that goes right across beneath. We've got 2 drawers underneath that too, and there's an additional socket on that side underneath, so there's somewhere to charge your mobile phone. Of course you've got a little reading shelf here and a reading light too, and a padded headboard. Overall it really does have a very luxurious feel. Now I'm not entirely convinced about that gloss black front panel. I do wonder whether satin black might have been better, but you can't deny that the 2017 Clubman has serious presence, and the new layout really does fit within the Clubman range perfectly. There are compromises to be made when putting a central washroom in a single axle caravan, such as the short bed length for example, but the bed lengths in the SR are no shorter than its rivals from Coachman and Swift, and if you can live with those compromises, the Clubman SR is a very nice place to be. Nestling in the ancient woodlands of the Forest of Arden between Birmingham and Coventry in Warwickshire, Summerswood Caravan Park is open all year and offers 48 sheltered touring pitches. Summerswood is a popular base for those visiting the biannual industry shows at the NEC, thanks in part to its proximity to the exhibition centre. But it's a great place to stay no matter what the purpose of your visit. It's only open to adults, and as a result, your time there is sure to be a relaxing one. The top-notch facilities include tidy washrooms, an information cabin, a book exchange, Wi-Fi connectivity, 10-amp electric hookup and a laundrette. Visitors to the park can also make use of the Stonebridge Golf Club and nearby fishing lakes, while the city of Birmingham is just 12 miles down the road, with a bus stop near the gates to the site. Once you've finished shopping and sightseeing, you can relax in the beautiful surroundings of the Warwickshire countryside.
Welcome to Summerswood. We're located just half a mile outside the village of Merida in the heart of England between Birmingham and Coventry. We've got 48 pitches, all of which have partial hard standing. Some of them double hard standings, but the majority of them have got a hard standing with grass at the side. We've also got 4 fully serviced pitches as well. Service pitches come with, all our electric points are 10 amp electric. So the fully serviced pitches come with free satellite hookup for Sky. You can access satellite hookup elsewhere on the park, but there is a nominal charge. So with the back to the service pitch, you get your drinking water, your own wastewater, free satellite and your 10 amp electric hookup. We have an information cabin which is separate to reception. It's open all the time, and in there you'll find Chinese and Indian takeaway menus, of which food can be delivered to the caravan park. Also, there's lots of information, train and bus timetables, and also a selection of books. For the golfers and fishermen amongst you, just adjacent to Summerswood, literally within walking distance, we overlook Stonebridge Golf Centre. They have a 27-hole golf course. They have a floodlit driving range, and there's also a clubhouse there which all our guests, regardless of whether you play golf or not, you can pop across and grab breakfast, lunch, or just sit outside and have a beer and watch the world go by.
Third time at Summerswood Caravan Park. We've started coming here because of the NEC Festival of Quilts show. We would come again. We would come every year because we enjoy the site. It's well kept, it's peaceful, it's a very nice place to be.
Despite it being Coachman's most expensive single axle model, the VIP is also its best seller, so you can understand it not wanting to upset the apple cart by making wholesale changes. And in fact, for 2017, the only major change is a switch from blue graphics to red. That means you still get an external gas point, an external 230 volt socket, and a full complement of Alco goodies, from ATC to secure wheel locks, plus alloy wheels, and external access to the bed boxes. In fact, there are very few changes across the board, apart from with this, the 565. It's a fixed twin single bed model, and inside it's gone through a bit of a makeover. And the results of that makeover are most obvious here in the bedroom. These beds are much lower down, and they're 2 foot 5 inches wide now, which is much better, more sensible size. Each bed gets their own reading light and speaker for the sound system. Although there isn't a convenient shelf, you'll have to reach up here for your book or your cup of tea. That said, there is a TV point and a mirror at the end of this bed, and they're a pretty decent length. This one's 6 feet long, that one 6'2". So as long as you're not towering, you should be pretty comfortable in here. Each side gets 3 overhead lockers, and underneath the bed there's access to the storage space, and there's even a drawer at the foot of the offside bed. But most dramatic of all, if you look above me, you'll see the rather fabulous new Sky View roof light, which does exactly what it says in the tin. Gives you a fantastic view of the sky, ideal if you're a bit of a stargazer. Luna and Eldest use a similar type of Sky View roof light, but they use it in the lounge. And of course Coachman doesn't need to use it in the lounge because we've got this huge overhead roof light and a massive panoramic sunroof behind me. In fact, this is one of the brightest caravan interiors I've come across. And the installation of that sunroof is really nicely done. We've got a big shelf beneath, and then these neat cabinets so that you don't lose storage space. There's the same on both sides of the van. Okay. The lounge itself is a decent size. It's certainly roomy enough for a family of 4 or a couple of couples to sit and dine. And these sofas, it has to be said, are really very comfortable. They've got raked seat backs, which makes them really ideal to sit back and recline and watch the TV. At night, you pull out the bed base from beneath the offside sofa and it turns into a good sized double bed. They're definitely a little bit too short to be used as singles. Although the lockers in the kitchen are white rather than a wood finish as in the lounge, they've got the same graphite theme running through them, and there's two good-sized ones over a very generous worktop. There's no need for any kind of flip-up extension here because there's plenty of room. If you need a bit more, you can always pop the lid down on the sink and there's extra space there. There's a top-spec oven and separate grill and a dual-fuel hob with a rather natty chrome finish for this year. The microwave is no longer hidden away in a cupboard, but is finished in a rather nice glass surround, although I must say I kind of preferred it when it was hidden in a cupboard, and I'd rather it wasn't directly over the hob. Now, Coachman has decided not to go for the tower refrigerator in this VIP 565. It continues with a standard under worktop refrigerator, and above it there's a cutlery drawer with another trio of drawers alongside. Instead, on the offside, we've got a huge wardrobe, which is fantastic. Plenty of room for a whole family's clothing in there, despite that being where the Aldi boiler overflow is. Beneath it, there's a couple of drawers, and alongside, I'm delighted to say, the storage for the table, so it's right by the lounge where you need it. The VIP's classy bathroom is dominated by this huge shower cubicle. It's fully lined, features a couple of shelves, and the new Eco Camel Jetstream shower head. It's lovely and bright in here too. There's a big roof light overhead and of course a smoked window above the loo. And it's really well finished. We've got plenty of little shelves, a couple of useful bathroom cabinets, a large sink and a rather nice backlit mirror. Coachman did the hard work of getting weights down across the board last year, so changes for 2017 have mostly been about refinement, and the VIP 565 has been refined into a highly desirable caravan, both for couples who like unhindered access to the washroom and families who can put the kids down in the back and stay up late enjoying a glass of wine in the lounge. But on a clear night when the stars are out, don't waste that bedroom on the kids. Tell them to bring a tent and lie back and enjoy the night sky to your heart's content. I'm afraid that's all we've got time for this week, but we'll be back very soon with another packed show of Practical Caravan TV. Until then, you can keep up with us on Facebook, on Twitter or via our website, and don't forget that Practical Motorhome TV follows in just a few minutes. Until next time, bye-bye.
Truma, makers of the combi heater and iNet system, are proud to sponsor Practical Caravan TV.